Yo, what's up guys, this goes in today's video. Guys, we're back with another Grand Cross video. Now today we're going to talk about the top 5 best PVE units basically. So right now I made a whole PvP video, but I wasn't recording my voice, so I kind of had to like scrap that. So I had an idea of making PvP and PvE based teams. So the first thing we're going to be doing for today's video is going to be talking about the top 5 best PvE units. So now, since we have this specific unit, you can actually kind of just cheese it as well in PvE. So if you are a new player, or if you first began the game, but regardless, this is for like newer players anyway. I want to talk about the units that will be best for you, especially when you're starting off for story mode, which is PvE based and other things. For global reasons, we're going to talk about these specific units. So the first unit I want to talk about is, of course, Green Meliodas. Now, a lot of people will say that this isn't the best unit to reroll for, but I personally say he is really the best unit to reroll for, because he's going to have the best attack skills, and his second skill is literally the best thing in this game, honestly, right now. So to talk about his first attack skill, he does insane damage. Even if it's a 2-star, 3-star skill, and he have really good gear on him, or decent gear, he does even like 2-star will probably be like 24,000 damage, 3-star will probably be like 45,000, 50,000 damage if you have pretty decent gear on him. So his Hellblaze is really good as his skill attack. His second skill is, of course, his full counter. This full counter will carry you anywhere you like, anything you do, even in like end game JP accounts. Some people still use him for his full counter, and you'll see why. Like, if you're gonna reroll for him, and if you guys haven't seen my other videos with Meliodas, you'll see that this unit is very useful with his full counter. But basically, he takes a stance, so all he does is that whenever his HP is low and he gets attacked, he basically multiplies his damage on the enemy and just destroys them with multiple attacks at the same time. So really good unit for that. And then his ultimate, he stuns basically, so that's good, because when an enemy is, let's just say you are fighting another Green Meliodas, right, and they use their full counter, you can cancel buffs and stances on one enemy and inflicts damage equal to 490% of attack, then stuns for 1 turn. So stun prohibits all actions, so it's very good for that. PvP and PvE base honestly can be really useful for that. So, but for PvE base right now, that's what we're talking about. You can stun a lot of people in your story mode base. Like I know some can't be stunned technically, but I think Hendrickson can't be stunned, but I don't remember. But regardless, like, this still is really useful because he's gonna be really good for damage base as well. Then his passive, of course, is what matters the most when it comes to his second skill. Increases crit chance by the ratio of their heroes' diminished HP when using a skill. So really nice to know. The more you have, the less HP you have, the more crit chance you have to do. So he's one of the basic units to definitely have when it comes to the top 5 on PvE based. So then the next unit I want to talk about is going to be a farming unit, as well as a really good AoE attacker, Hauser. So if you pulled Hauser at the beginning of the game, or if you have Hauser now, he is in the coin shop, I believe, and as well as you can pull him in the normal banners. This unit is an attacker that will attack every single enemy. So for his first skill attack, he's going to really be doing some pretty decent damage. Now Hauser, you does need to have really good gear really to be very useful, but for beginning game, he's gonna be pretty good to start off with. End game, if you have really good gear on him, he's literally the best farming unit in the game, honestly, in my opinion. So you have this right here: inflicts pierce damage equal to 250% of attack on all enemies, and pierce is going to be a 3 times pierce rate increase. So you need to make sure that his pierce rating is like much higher if you wanted to. He does a lot more damage when his pierce rate is high too. So when you look at him, his pierce rate is 20%. So he's basically gonna ignore defense and just does insane damage. So his second skill, 3-star, 2-star, regardless, he's going to sever. It's a 2 times crit chance increase. So the more crits he does, the more this is going to do basically. So 250% damage on all enemies is actually really good. You can do as everyone gets hit, I think it's like over 100,000 easily, but you have to divide that by 3 to see how much you're actually doing on each enemy. So as his ultimate though, his ultimate actually is very helpful. So his ultimate will attack everyone as well and does a lot of damage, but it also decreases skill ranks. So if an enemy is close to their ultimate, or if they are about to ult, this will take away the ultimate, and that's basically what this is used for. Then depletes the ultimate move gauge by the number of skill rank decreases. So if you have, let's just say let's just say you attack with this card, right? You're going to take away someone's ultimate gauges as well as their skill ranks. So if they have a 3-star card on them, that's going to down it to 2-star or 1-star normally. So whichever way it's going to be set like that. But he does some crazy damage, and which is why as an attack all units, he's the best farming unit. So as his passive, he increases human allies basic stats by 8%. So if you have, you know, let's just say Bond, or if you have any like human related characters on your team, he's going to boost those stats by 8%, which is really helpful as well. But as this unit, as a beginning beginning starter person in this game, he's very good in my opinion. So he would be very helpful for PvE because he can help you, attack everyone at the same time, and that's very, very helpful. Now, the next unit that is also an AoE attacker, which she's very good for PvP and PvE, is going to be this DN. You also get her in story mode. Even though it's late in story mode, she's still helpful from when you get her, and so on. So, basically, this unit herself, she is an attack all unit, right, for her second skill. You can see that she does attack all right here, but now based on what card you use, what rank, she'll do either 250% damage or 150% damage. But what Rupture does is that it's a 2 times damage against buffed enemies. So if you're fighting, let's just say, someone who has all these buffs on them because, they love to have these buffs. Let's just say Arthur buffs a specific unit on PvP, let's just say. This unit will do more damage because it has 2 times damage against buffed enemies because of her Rupture. Now on PvE, I don't think there's that many people or that many missions that actually are having buffed enemies on there. I'm not sure, I don't remember. But she will pretty much still attack all and still do some pretty crazy damage. So which is why she's good for PvP and PvE. Now we're going to talk about her first skill. This first skill is the more useful one because this is where you're going to be disabling attack skills. So in her 2-star and 3-star skill, not her 1-star, never her 1-star, 2-star and 3-star is going to disable attack skills for 1 turn or 2 turns, and she does 220% or 360% damage based on which star skill you're using. So this is her main reason I use her, because of the disabling attack skills. So she's just like that red Gother, which Global doesn't have them yet, but she disables attack skills, which is very, very helpful in PvP and PvE just in case. And then of course, if you want her to attack all again, her ultimate is what's gonna do that. So depending on which one she's with, the second skill, right, second ultimate right here, I think is with Grimoire, so she does more damage with Grimoire, but as just regardless by herself, 525% of attack on all enemies, so she still does pretty crazy damage. So that's really good for her since she can disable attack skills and she can attack all. Very helpful for that. Then as her passive, she increases attack by 6% at the end of every turn, and that can go up to 5 times, so that's 30%. So that's what her passive is for her. So she does more damage the more turns that it takes for her. So that's another unit for this top 5. I'm not going to list them exactly which ones they rank in, but that's how I'm going to be basing it off of for now. Now this unit right here, we're going to talk about, I think it didn't talk about King yet, but King, he is probably the best unit in the game currently, in my opinion, just because he's the best support unit as well as really good for PvP and PvE based, so whichever way you use him. So the reason why I say that is because he's a really good healer. So as a 2-star and 3-star skill, he does 30% or 50% healing, and then he removes debuffs, which his first skill is the one that removes debuffs just for everyone, except the 2-star and 3-star does healing. So he is good for that. Now, he is good healer, as well as the one good thing about him as well is his first skill. His first skill is probably the best thing ever, honestly, just because he's still using endgame in JP version as well. So they gave you one of the best units in the game in chapter 3 at the beginning of the game, like in story mode. So this unit can do some pretty decent damage from this, but the main thing is his Petrify, which Petrify, of course, is going to basically fossilize them where they can't attack for 1 to 2 turns. And then, of course, the other thing is with this is when you use him, you don't want to attack the person who you just petrified, because then that breaks the Petrify. So you kind of want to use this card always last, so be careful on that. And then, of course, his ultimate does some pretty crazy damage. Now, what Shatter does is that it ignores resistance, which basically that should be like ignoring the defense stats, I guess. I think that's what it basically means. But he attacks all, so he still does a lot of damage on the enemy. So he's good to have for regardless of what you're playing. But main use is going to be PvP based. But for PvE, he's still very helpful because you will need him on many of the missions that you do in the game. So which is why I say he's very, very good to have on the team. So that's, you know, definitely top 5. Honestly, he's probably god tier in my opinion, even for the end game content whenever you get into JP version. But even for a global version, you'll see that you're still going to use this unit regardless of when you got him. So that's definitely really good, and you get him for free in story mode. So that's the second to last unit. Now the last unit I want to talk about is going to be a unit that came out really, really early in JP version. So the way that he came out in this kind of, you know, made weird sense for me. I don't know, it's weird the way that they brought him out on global. But Bond, this green Bond, he is a summonable unit right now on global. You can get him currently right now in his banner. I think it leaves, I think tonight actually, by the time this video is uploaded. So this unit himself, he's really good for PvP and PvE. So the reason why I say that is because based on PvP based, you know, he's really, really good for you know, snatching, which this is an insane skill, and then his first skill. But he's an attacker unit, which is very helpful for PvP. But since we're talking about PvE currently, we're going to talk about his snatching skills and his draining skills. So his snatch first, the way that this works is that it's going to extort you know, attack and defense for the enemy, and depending on which skill you do, you're going to either take 20, 30, or 50% of attack and defense. And then taking away attack and defense from all enemies either for 2 turns and 3 turns, which is really good. But extort decreases the target's stats and increases his own stats by the same amount, right? So regardless of what you do, PvP or PvE based, mainly he's going to be very good to take away attack and defense. And then with his first skill attack, if you do his 2-star or 3-star, this is where he's going to do some crazy damage. Now 150% compared to 250% damage is not too much, but it does make a big difference, because the reason why is because it's lifesteal. So this lifesteal is going to heal a portion, heals for a portion of the damage dealt, and that's 30% of the damage. So basically, if you use his snatch and then his drain, he's going to take all attack and defense stats from the enemy and puts it onto himself, and then he does also attack on all the enemies, right? And takes the heals for a portion of the damage dealt. So the more he attacks, the more healing he'll do to himself. So he's basically a self-sufficient unit regardless of what you're doing. Even in PvP base, he's literally just a tank basically at that point, and does a lot of damage because of that. So this unit, out of every single unit currently right now in the game, probably the best unit to have on PvP currently. But for PvE base, he's still very helpful and will carry you really well in everything you're doing on PvE as well. Now, as that's ultimate is going to do a lot of damage as well, but the main thing is extorting, which is going to do 50% of attack and defense for 2 turns, regardless of which one you do with Jericho or not. So extort, of course, is the same thing, decreases the target stats and increases own stats by the same amount. So very good unit to have for PvP as well as PvE. And mainly, of course, I'm talking about PvE right now, is because this unit will be very helpful for the story mode based you know, missions, just because you're attacking everyone as well as you're basically healing yourself every time you're attacking. So which is why he's a really good unit to have. And then of course his passive is going to decrease all enemies HP related stats by 10% at the start of the next turn if the hero doesn't take damage. Now the thing is, this can stack to 5 turns, but the thing is, at some point you will take damage unless you have units that can either disable attack skills or units who petrify like King. So you can kind of make it work, but personally it's going to be hard for you to make it work like that, just because at one point Bond will get attacked regardless, so it will reset. So it's never going to go up to 5 times unless you actually have a team that can literally make someone rage quit at that point. But for all the type 5 units currently for PvP or PvE base, because I want to make it PvP base separately, for PvE base, top 5 units are those units that I have listed. So top 5 is going to be green Meliodas, red Hauser, blue King, blue Diane, and green Bond. Those are the top 5 SSR units I think are the best for PvE base right now currently. PvP base, I'll probably make a video on that later on, but those will be, you know, pretty good for global base right now. But currently global base, that's all the top 5s for me right now. Hopefully you guys have a different opinion. I want to see what you guys actually rate that as well, so let me know in the comments below what you guys would say were the top 5 best PvE units currently in global. And if you guys agree with this, let me know in the comments below. If not, you know, try to talk to me and see what is best for your guys' list list as well. But if you guys did enjoy, let me know in the comments below. Drop a like onto today's video. If you guys are new to the channel, subscribe, guys. Thank you guys so much for the support. We're close to 14,000 subs, so we're going to keep on grinding out as much as possible. But that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Have a great day.